What if I told you that Carl Jung, the pioneering psychologist who plumbed the deepest mysteries of the human psyche, offered insights that completely changed how we understand what happens to consciousness during cremation? In one of his profound analyses from 1932, Jung revealed something that shocked even his closest associates about the psyche's experience during the cremation process. Before we dive into these life-changing revelations, make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell, because we're about to explore documented psychological and spiritual truths that could transform your understanding of death and consciousness forever. And please leave a comment below, telling me about any spiritual or synchronous experiences you've had that you couldn't explain. Today, I'm going to reveal 3 shocking discoveries from Carl Jung's extensive writings about cremation and the psyche's journey. First, what actually happens to your psychic structure during the cremation process, according to his archetypal analysis. Second, why Jung said the timing of cremation matters more than you think, based on his work with a grieving family. And third, the surprising connection between cremation and the concept of rebirth that Jung explored through his study of world mythologies. But here's what's going to blow your mind. In his 1932 analysis, when a desperate mother asked Jung whether her deceased son felt pain during cremation, his answer was so unexpected that it revolutionized how thousands of people think about death and consciousness. Carl Jung didn't just guess about these things. Over decades of clinical practice and deep personal exploration, he documented thousands of dreams, myths, and personal accounts. These weren't just random spiritual opinions. Every single analysis was part of his larger work, preserved today in the archives of analytical psychology. When Jung delved into the deep structures of the psyche, he accessed what he called the collective unconscious. Think of this as a transpersonal library containing every archetype, symbol, and experience of the human soul throughout history. Through this connection, he could address questions about consciousness, death, and the afterlife with stunning depth. But wait, here's where it gets really interesting. In an analysis for a family struggling with their decision about cremation, Jung explained that the psyche doesn't experience physical pain during cremation because consciousness has already separated from the physical body. But then he said something that changed everything about how we understand the death process. He revealed that there's a transitional period, what he called a liminal state, where the psyche maintains a subtle connection to the physical form. During this time, which can last anywhere from 3 days to several weeks, the psyche is still adjusting to its new state of existence. Here's the shocking part. Jung said that during this transitional period, the psyche can be aware of what's happening to the physical body, but not in the way we experience physical sensation. Instead, it's more like a distant awareness, similar to remembering a dream. In one of his essays, Jung was asked directly whether cremation interferes with the soul's journey. His answer was revolutionary. He argued that cremation actually helps the psyche release its attachment to the physical body more quickly than traditional burial. The fire, he explained, serves as a powerful symbolic and alchemical purification that assists the psyche in its transition to higher states of awareness. But here's what Jung revealed that most people don't know. The timing of cremation matters tremendously. In that 1932 analysis I mentioned earlier, Jung explained that if cremation happens too quickly after death, within the first 24 to 72 hours, the psyche might experience what he called psychic disorientation, rather than pain. This disorientation occurs because the psyche is still in the process of fully separating from the physical body. Let me share with you a documented case that illustrates this perfectly. In 1936, a woman from Norfolk, Virginia, consulted Jung about her husband, who had died suddenly in a car accident. The family had arranged for immediate cremation, but she was tormented by dreams where her husband seemed distressed and confused. During his analysis, Jung revealed that her husband's psyche was indeed experiencing disorientation because the cremation had happened before his consciousness had fully adjusted to being out of the body. Jung explained that in cases of sudden death, the psyche often needs more time to understand what has happened and to complete its separation from physical existence. But here's the remarkable part. Jung told this grieving widow that her husband's disorientation was temporary and that her own focused, loving consciousness was actually helping him adjust to his new state. Within weeks of this insight, the woman's disturbing dreams stopped, and she began having peaceful experiences where her husband appeared calm and whole. This brings us to something even more profound that Jung revealed about cremation and reincarnation. In his deep study of world myths and Eastern religions, Jung explained that how we treat the physical body after death can influence our next incarnation, but not in the way most people think. Jung said that cremation, when done with proper timing and conscious intention, actually helps the soul break free from what he called unresolved complexes and earthly attachments. These attachments, he explained, are emotional and mental ties that keep the psyche focused on the material plane instead of progressing in its process of individuation. Here's where this gets really interesting for your psychological and spiritual evolution. In one of his letters, Jung was asked whether people who choose cremation reincarnate differently than those who are buried. His answer was fascinating. He said that the method of body disposal doesn't determine reincarnation, but the consciousness and psychological development of the individual does. However, he did reveal something remarkable about spiritual readiness. Jung explained that souls who consciously choose cremation as part of their spiritual beliefs often demonstrate a level of detachment from the persona and material existence that helps them progress more quickly between lives. But wait, there's something even more shocking that Jung revealed about consciousness and the death process. In his work on alchemical symbolism, Jung explained that the psyche doesn't just separate from the body at death. Instead, consciousness goes through what he called archetypal stages of transition. Cremation, he said, helps accelerate these stages by removing the physical anchor that keeps the psyche focused on the material world. Let me break down these stages for you because understanding this could change how you think about death. Forever. Stage 1 occurs at the moment of death, when the psyche begins to separate from the physical body. Jung said this is like waking from a dream one had forgotten one was in. The psyche suddenly realizes it no longer needs the physical form to exist. Stage 2 is what Jung called the review period, or integration. During this time, the psyche reviews the life it just completed, not as a judgment, but as a crucial part of integrating the experiences and confronting its shadow. Stage 3 is the choice period. Here the psyche decides whether to move forward toward greater wholeness or to remain near the earth plane, often due to strong, unresolved attachments. This is where cremation becomes psychologically significant. Jung revealed that the fire used in cremation serves as a symbolic gateway that helps the psyche move through the subsequent stages more easily. But here's what's really going to surprise you about Carl Jung's cremation revelations. In an analysis from 1947, Jung was asked whether cremation affects the psyche's ability to communicate with loved ones still on Earth. His answer contradicted what many people believe. Jung explained that cremation actually enhances the psyche's ability to communicate with the living because it removes the energetic connection to the decaying physical body. When the body is buried, he said, part of the psychic energy remains tied to the physical form as it slowly decomposes. This creates what he called psychic static. But with cremation, the psyche's energy is completely freed from physical matter, allowing for clearer communication through dreams, synchronicities, and other profound experiences. I want to share with you a documented case that perfectly illustrates this principle. In 1941, a woman from Virginia Beach received an analysis after her daughter died from pneumonia. The family had chosen cremation despite opposition from relatives who believed it would interfere with their ability to feel their daughter's presence. Jung revealed that their decision to choose cremation was actually guided by an unconscious wisdom in sync with their daughter's psyche, which needed to be free from physical attachments to continue her own journey and connection from a non-physical state. Within months, the family began experiencing vivid dreams and signs that their daughter was not only at peace, but actively present in their lives in a new, more profound way. But here's the most profound revelation Jung shared about cremation and consciousness. In a late-career essay, Jung explained that cremation serves as a form of psychic alchemy that helps the psyche shed not just physical attachments, but also the outmoded emotional and mental patterns, the old persona, that no longer serve its highest good. Think of it this way. When you outgrow old roles, you consciously let them go. Jung said that cremation helps the psyche return its physical form back to the universe, while keeping only the integrated wisdom and love that will help it grow in its ongoing journey. This is why Jung often saw cremation as a fitting choice for individuals who had lived lives focused on psychological growth and the process of individuation. He said that these souls were ready to release their attachment to a single physical existence and move forward quickly in their evolution. But what about the fear that many people have about cremation? Jung addressed this directly. He said that fear of cremation usually comes from a misunderstanding about the nature of consciousness. People fear that cremation will somehow harm or destroy the psyche. But Jung explained that consciousness is not confined to the physical body. He used a beautiful analogy to explain this. Jung said that the relationship between the psyche and the body is like the relationship between a person and their house. When someone moves out of a house, they don't cease to exist just because the house is torn down. Similarly, when the psyche leaves the body, it continues to exist regardless of what happens to the physical form. Here's something that will really make you think about your own journey of individuation. Jung revealed that people who have strong inner practices during their lifetime, such as dream work, active imagination, and service to their own unique calling experience, the death and transition process vary differently than those who have focused primarily on material or ego concerns. In one analysis, Jung explained that psychologically and spiritually developed individuals often experience death as a culmination of their life's work, rather than a traumatic separation. For these souls, cremation serves as a celebration of their graduation from one form of physical existence. But here's what Jung said about preparing for your own death and transition. In his writings, Jung explained that the best preparation for death is not to fear it, but to live each day with psychological awareness and in service to the self. He said that souls who develop their inner life and use their gifts to become whole find the transition process much easier, regardless of whether they choose cremation or burial. Jung also revealed something fascinating about the timing of our deaths. He explained that the psyche, on a deep, unconscious level, actually participates in choosing when and how it will leave the physical body. This means that if you're drawn to cremation, it might be because your own inner wisdom knows this will help you in your transition and future development. Now, here's where all of this connects to your psychological growth right now. Jung taught that understanding death and the afterlife isn't just about preparing for your own transition. It's about understanding the true nature of consciousness and how you can use this knowledge to live a more authentic and meaningful life today. In one text, Jung explained that souls who understand the temporary nature of the ego's existence are more likely to focus on the lifelong process of individuation. They're also more likely to experience peace and joy during their earthly lives because they're not consumed by fear of death. But here's the most important thing Jung revealed about cremation and spiritual development. In a letter from 1956, Jung said that the choice between cremation and burial is not as important as the consciousness and intention behind the choice. What matters most is that the decision is made with love, psychological understanding, and consideration for the psyche's continued journey. Jung also revealed that family members who choose cremation for their loved ones with the intention of helping the psyche's progress actually contribute to that progress through their conscious, loving thoughts. This brings us to something really profound about how Jung's teachings on cremation can transform your spiritual practice today. Jung explained that meditation on the nature of consciousness and the self helps us develop what he called psychic sight. This is the ability to perceive the archetypal dimensions of existence while we're still in physical form. In his writings, Jung gave specific techniques like active imagination for developing this inner sight. He suggested spending time each day exploring the temporary nature of physical existence and the eternal nature of the psyche. This practice, he said, helps us live with greater psychological awareness and less fear of death. But here's something that will help you right now in your spiritual journey. Jung taught that souls who accept the reality of psychic continuity and the potential for rebirth often experience greater peace and purpose in their current lives. They understand that every experience, every relationship, and every challenge is an opportunity for psychological and spiritual growth. In one analysis, Jung explained that this understanding helps us approach difficult situations with greater wisdom and compassion instead of being overwhelmed by temporary physical or emotional challenges. We can see them as opportunities for our souls to learn and evolve. Here's how you can apply Carl Jung's teachings about cremation and consciousness to your spiritual practice today. First, spend time in contemplation on the nature of consciousness and its relationship to the physical body. Jung said that this practice helps us develop greater psychological awareness and less attachment to material concerns. Second, practice sending loving, conscious thoughts to loved ones who have passed away, regardless of whether they were cremated or buried. Jung explained that this focused consciousness actually helps souls in their journey and strengthens the eternal bonds between them. Third, use Jung's understanding of death and transition to live more fully in the present moment. When we truly understand that consciousness is eternal and that this physical existence is temporary, we can focus on what really matters: psychological wholeness and service to the self. Finally, consider how your own beliefs about death and the afterlife affect your daily life. Jung taught that fear of death often prevents people from fully embracing their true selves and living with authentic purpose. The truth about cremation and consciousness that Carl Jung revealed offers us a profound gift: the understanding that death is not an ending, but a transformation. This knowledge can free us from fear and help us live with greater psychological awareness and purpose. As we conclude this journey through Carl Jung's remarkable revelations about cremation and consciousness, I want to leave you with this final thought from his later work. Jung said that the psyche's journey is eternal, and that every experience, including death and transition, is an opportunity for psychological growth and evolution. Whether you choose cremation or burial for yourself or your loved ones, the most important thing is that the choice is made with love, psychological understanding, and trust in the psyche's continued journey toward greater wholeness. If this information has opened your mind to new spiritual and psychological possibilities, please subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our upcoming videos about Jung's teachings on dreams, synchronicity, and the self. And please share this video with others who might benefit from these profound insights. Your sharing helps spread these transformative teachings to people who need them most. Leave a comment below and tell me about your own thoughts on cremation and consciousness. Have you had any experiences that confirm what Carl Jung revealed in his work? I read every comment and love hearing about your journey. Remember, Jung's teachings remind us that we are psychic beings having a human experience, and that death is simply a doorway to the next chapter of our soul's eternal journey. Understanding this truth can transform not only how we think about death, but how we choose to live each precious day of our physical existence,